Hello, everyone. This is Kevin Morrison, Cook County Commissioner for the 15th District. I represent the northwest suburbs of Cook County. Hope everyone is staying safe and healthy out there. I want to thank everyone who's tuning in live. And for all of you who may be watching this recording later, just a reminder as this meeting continues, if you have any questions for our incredible treasurer, you can put those in the live comments and we'll be happy to address them as soon as we get to the live comment portion of this discussion. For anyone watching the recording, if you have any questions, send them over. We'll make sure to get you some answers. I'm incredibly grateful for Treasurer Pappas for joining me today to discuss her office and the many services it provides Cook County taxpayers. Helping people understand their tax bills and how to pay is incredibly important. Her office has been a great partner, and I applaud her efforts to provide relief during the COVID-19 pandemic. One of my top priorities when I was elected was to bring constituent services throughout the district. I want to make sure you know every opportunity available and get all of your questions answered. This is a chance to listen to Treasurer Pappas directly and ask any questions you may have. Without further ado, thank you so much, Treasurer Pappas, and so happy to have you here today.
Yeah, I'm actually quite looking forward to this. I mean, this is kind of what I do now. So I am officially Maria Pappas, the Cook County Treasurer. And for those of you who might be interested, Cook County as a whole, because it's 2,200 governments, is the 16th largest government in the world. So that for starters. If you ever want to know about what it does, you can call and ask me. But we today are going to get to where it is, which is my website, cookcountytreasurer.com. And we've already had this month 800,000 visitors. So I'm trying to get everyone in Commissioner Morrison's district to this site, to your property tax overview site. So once you get to this site, the most important thing about it is that you're going to see a little purple box. This purple box will allow you just really quickly to punch on it and put in an address. So you're going to be able on this site to put in an address. So once you've gotten in the address, once you put in this address, you're going to be able to see a picture of your home. You're going to be able to see a picture of your home. So this picture of your house is picture. This picture of your house will tell you whether or not you're in the right place. If it's not a house and it's a piece of commercial property, you will be able to see that you're in the right place. You know you're in the right place. So if you scroll down just a little, you're going to see whether or not you owe, And if you owed for the tax sale, there's going to be a big banner that shows up and says, tax sale canceled, tax sale canceled. So we want you to know that that tax sale's been canceled because of this entire epidemic. We don't know when that tax sale is going to occur again. We have no idea. It sort of is tied to when the governor lifts the COVID tragedy. And so you're in good shape if you're on that tax sale list right now because it's not happening. When it does occur, we will give you a good 6-8 weeks notice. We will send you a certified. So Kevin Morrison, your commissioner, has been extraordinarily active in getting to our computerized stuff that we put together in our office. So this is kind of an example of what he is helping us with. So this is the 15th district. I hope you can see this. And the number of delinquent pins on the tax sale are about 354, totaling about 2.8 million. So all of those properties have been stayed. They will be sold. But if you scroll down a little bit here, what you will see is the number of D&Os available. What's a D&O? A D&O is a duplicate and overpayment, a duplicate and overpayment. So this is someone who, going back 20 years, and we have $79 million worth of duplicate payments. This person at a closing, and we'll take an example, in 2002 says, you know what? The seller's attorney is going to pay this. So now you'll get a bill in February to pay in March, and there's absolutely nothing happening here. There's nothing happening. So you pay that bill. You pay that bill because you think that you need to pay it. So on this property now we're sitting $2,000-$3,000 payments, $2,000-$3,000 payments. This website enables you to go back 20 years and see whether or not someone has double paid. See what, and it will say to you, yes, you've double paid. You've double paid in the year 2002. You double paid by this much. And then there is a button that you press. There is a button that you press. And when you press that button, it says, I'm just sharing screen here. It says, well, this isn't working. So you now can get the refund. Our office allows you not to come in at all, not to come into the office at all, and you can see whether or not you're entitled to this refund. This is my office, and they are in here right now, and they don't realize that the screen that they're showing you is not readable, but trust me, if you get to cookcountytreasurer.com and you go down, and you scroll down, you will be able to see that we're going to give you your money. 4 to 6 weeks. Just prove that you were the owner of that house at that time. Prove that you're the owner of that house at the time. Scroll down a little bit more on the screen, and what you are going to see is homeowners. Homeowners exemption. Homeowners exemption. I've got an example. We have a radio talk show at 3:30 on Monday called Black Houses Matter, which was an origination of mine because I've always felt that Black lives can't matter unless Black houses matter. So these are the examples that we used on WVON yesterday. These are taxpayers. And this is what you're going to see when you scroll down on this site. You're going to see that there are boxes going back 4 years with these exemptions. Homeowner, senior, senior freeze, returning veteran exemption, disabled person exemption, and disabled veteran exemption. So here's a homeowner who got exemptions in 2 years and didn't get exemptions in 2 other years. In fact, they didn't get their senior exemption. Okay, so we are looking at these examples and we are telling people, look at this grid. You did not get your homeowners or your senior exemption. What's the difference? A homeowner is anyone who's lived in this house for more than a year. Okay, so we've got hundreds of young kids out there who bought homes and don't realize that they are entitled to this exemption. In fact, many homeowners don't realize that they're entitled to this exemption, which makes me stop for a second. I mentioned to Commissioner Morris and I said, how many languages are there in your district? And he said, tons. So we are accommodating them. CookCountyTreasurer.com will accommodate them. We are actually up in 126 languages. And these are the 4 brochures that we have. And these 4 brochures are up in 26 languages. So I want to give you an example of some of these languages that have been downloaded. 19,000 in Arabic, 29,000 in Chinese, 9,000 in German, 875 in Hindi, 10,000 Italian, 23,000 Korean, 134,000 Polish, because more more people own land in Cook County who are Polish than any other ethnic group. So we are 24/7 accommodating them. We have a Polish speaking phone system. You can call 312-443-5100. And we have a Spanish speaking phone system, 312-443-5100. You can call in and you can prompt either one or two. And it's like the credit card, Kevin. At the end of this technological stuff that we've got set up, this voice comes back in Polish or Spanish and tells you if you owe, if you don't owe, and how to pay and what to pay. So we push accommodating these languages, and we will be happy to get all these brochures out to you. But let me move on to what is a homeowner's exemption? What is a homeowner's exemption? You have to have lived in that house for a year. You have to have lived in that house for a year. If you've lived in that house for a year and you go back 4 years, that's 500 a year. 2,000 that I owe you. That's 2,000 that I owe you. So that's above and beyond what we gave you in your district for seniors and senior freeze. You are missing 738 senior exemptions in your whole district, and you are missing 883 senior freezes in your district. We're going to give you those addresses. That's new. That's just hot off the press because this is a bill that's hot off the press. So we will give you those so that you can go out and kind of look, help, and find them. And all 17 commissioners, Commissioner Morrison's staff has been diligent about looking for these people. We cannot give you the duplicate and over list. We can't give you those addresses. But what we can do is we can tell you that in your district, there are 10,000 people who haven't gotten $9.5 million going back 20 years. So they may or may not be in the house. We don't know. It could be a commercial closing where it was 100,000 or 200,000. So what we are doing with everyone is we have a training room set up at the county. We are bringing in staff from everyone's office, and we are teaching them how to look this stuff up. So my guess is your staff already knows, but our second step is to recommend that every address in your district, and I assume that's about 300,000, right? Are you not like about 300,000 people in your district?
Somewhere between there and 330.
Okay. So
we'll know more if you participate in the census. So everyone in District 15, make sure and complete your census.
Yes. So if they're not, we don't. If they're not doing the census at the moment, we've got historical data on people who lived there in the past. They may have moved from Maple Street to Oak Street. I'm not sure. But what we can do is we can train you to start to look at every address. So if your staff looked at 1,000 addresses a day, by the time you're, 3 more years have gone by, you will know who these DNOs are, and you can assist people. But even more importantly, because we've had 800,000 visits already this month, because since January, 4.5 million people have come to it, we are encouraging people to go to this site. It's the go-to site because missing exemptions right now, Kevin, is about 38 million, and duplicate and overs is about 79 million. And believe it or not, 1/8 almost of the duplicate and over money is in your district. So something is going wrong at your closings. I'm not blaming that on you, but I'm just saying, going back 20 years, something's going wrong with the closings, or you probably in your district, because interest rates started going down, had lots of refinancing. And when refinancings occur, it's bedlam. Chase Mortgage pays PNC Mortgage pays, and sometimes a third mortgage company pays. So going forward, we're resolving that in the office because right now, all 743,000 mortgage companies have committed to paying on August 3rd, everybody who's got an escrow. The problem with that is, or the good thing about that is, so if Chase comes in and says, I want to pay on Kevin Morrison's property, and then PNC comes in and says, I'm going to pay on Kevin Morrison's property, we stop the second payment. So what we have now is just all this old stuff that we are trying to clean up. We're trying to clean it up. So we are going to talk about something which I think is of great relevance to you.
And before we jump in, we do have a question from the audience that I want to pose and see if you might be able to better explain. Nile has asked, how is assessed value calculated on property?
I don't get, well, yeah, I don't.
I know you're not the assessor.
Yeah, I'm not. You know what? Nile, I will give you an inside number. I'll give it to Kevin, an inside number of someone to call in the assessor's office. But there's sort of lines of demarcation between elected officials, and we have a new assessor, and I don't want to speak for how things may be done just a little bit differently than the prior assessor. Okay, so I'm going to yield on an assessment question because it's like asking a gynecologist if they want to do heart surgery. I'm the gynae, not the heart surgeon.
You know, and since we don't have the assessor on the line today or a representative of his staff, we'll definitely get Nile an answer, and we'll do some outreach to her to connect her with the assessor's
So
office.
leave your phone number, and we'll get it, and we'll make sure that it gets answered by somebody who has the authority to answer it. Is that okay?
And, you know, maybe one way we could be helpful, I know you spoke a little bit about it in the beginning. I'm not sure if you missed out some of the resources that might be available today. COVID-19 and this pandemic has hit Cook County hard and our residents, especially when it comes to financials. Is there any other support that you want to share with our audience today on what your office has done to help alleviate some of these hardships?
Yeah, well, there's two things. Actually, there's three. The first is that this property tax due date of August 3rd really doesn't exist. It's like out there. But if you're hard up right now and you can't do it because you lost your job, because you're trying to get the kids back to school, you're having financial hardships, your social security check didn't get in, your unemployment check didn't come, we are giving a grace period. And this is what Kevin was instrumental in helping get this passed at the county board. So that was kind of my idea, but Kevin was like, let's get 17 votes together. Let's get this done. So the board voted to allow people a 2-month grace period with no penalties. You can pay on October 1st and have no penalties. Now you're going to say to me, what do I do after October 1st? There is a built-in through Springfield payment system. Let's say you owe $2,000, and October 1st you don't have the $2,000. So it would have been $2,000 if you'd had it. But you come in on October 1st and you say, I only have $100, and I say that's fine. Yeah, 100. The 1,900 remaining starts running at 1.5 a month, which is cheaper than a credit card, really. So you have now new legislation in Springfield. Remember I said that in the district there were about 354 people who were on this tax sale list? They've been stayed, and 13 months from last March, there's a new tax sale date for those properties, the 2017 properties. The issue is that it used to be 9 months until the sale date. 9 months until the sale date. Mike Madigan helped me get this through Springfield. it is now 13 months. It's 13 months. So that's a huge deal. So now you've got a due date that's been extended, and you've got 2 tax sale dates that have been extended, and we don't know when they're going to occur. If you go to cookcountytreasurer.com, there is a huge banner across the website if you're in the tax sale group that will. My office is telling me I'm not heard enough. Can you hear me, Kevin?
I could hear you, but you're not the
Is
loudest.
that better? Is that better?
I could still hear you.
Okay. So,
But even on that topic, when it comes, for one, I viewed your advocacy to get that extension from 9 months to 13 months. And, one thing I just want to highlight that your office does really well is share information with various Cook County board members on what properties do have delinquent taxes. And I know my office utilizes the information you share with us to send reminders directly to those households to make sure that they don't miss those important dates. And so maybe you could elaborate too some of the ways that you do outreach on that front.
So our outreach is an interesting outreach. I kind of touched on it when I said that we deal with 126 languages. We work with all 86 councils in Chicago. There are 86 official councils. So between now, or March, and Christmas, I had 674 events scheduled. The Bulgarian flag raising, the Chinese parade, the Japanese flower arrangement day, the Polish Mayfest, the German event at Lincoln Lawrence and West. I mean, I could go through, they're the same events that occur yearly. But what I do is I actually go to them. Most of my life is not in my office because my office is now dwindling with customers and increasing with online. So, for example, right now, more people have paid online than ever paid before. We are finding out that no one wants to come into the office. No one wants to deal with walking even to a Chase Bank with a mask on. Nobody wants to deal with the United States Post Office. So we've got this tremendous surge. I don't know if it's going to last through the due date with these online payments. So we're really happy about that. But now that we can't go to any events, what we're doing is last week I did 8 Polish radio, television, and newspaper interviews. Since May, on here, or my iPad, I've done 123 interviews. Right before I did the Japanese Shimpo newspaper. I did Bulgarian and Romanian TV last week. If you see my schedule, you would say, seriously, what are you doing? So let me give you an example. We are doing a half hour of Hispanic radio tomorrow. And we just finished doing Ukrainian, Serbian. I just talked before I did the Japanese. I spent time on the phone with the Assyrian radio program. And why would I do that? And that's why I asked you when you started, what's the ethnic breakup of where you are? Because nobody wants, if they're ethnic and they grew up ethnic, speaking that ethnic language before English, they don't want this in English. It's too confusing. So let me give you an example. In Greece, there's no such thing as an exemption. In Bulgaria, in Romania, in Poland, they don't know what an exemption is. So they don't even think about it. Nobody wakes up in the morning and says, I want to get a senior citizen exemption. I'm from Poland. They just don't do it. So we've had to educate and educate and educate and educate. And it's been a tough hope, but we're there. We've got, I'll tell you why I think we're there. I got called by the Chinese government 10 years ago. I flew to China to help them set up their property tax system because they were so impressed with the property tax system that we had set up on our website. Just as an interesting sidelight. In China, there's no property tax bills. Nobody gets a property tax bill. You decide what you want to pay and you send that amount in. And if the Chinese government doesn't think it's right, they send you a bill and say, correct the amount. So I worked with Greece extensively because most of these countries aren't set up on a PIN-based system. We have a PIN-based system that ties into the property like a social security number. Most of these countries don't have that. They have addresses and plots of land and surveys that have never been done. So in Greece, for example, I mean, there's thousands and thousands of acres where there's no property tax paid because nobody has an address on that property. Nobody has it. When I went to Greece 8 years ago and George Papandreou was just taking over, he said, Maria, you got to go to the finance department and find out what's going on. So I went there and I found out that they hadn't billed property taxes for 2 years, but nobody knew it because there was no system to bill. We're a little bit different. We, right now, let's say that Kevin overpays. Let's say that on August 3rd, you pay me $300 by check other than $200. So I owe you $100. Within 65 days of your having done that, I know who you are. In fact, Chase Bank knows your routing number. They send me a file and says, Kevin overpaid by $100. And I send you an email or a letter saying, Kevin, the $100 is back in your bank account. We don't even issue checks anymore. And last year, this is really interesting. Everybody's kind of interested in the system, which is why the 86 consulates have come in to talk to me about this. It's so expeditious. We've eliminated people coming into the office. Yeah. So now let me talk a little bit more about exemptions and exceptions. All these various exemptions that people could apply for. So you've got this homeowners, which I talked about, and then you've got you just have to live there for more than a year, and then you've got the seniors. Okay, there's other stuff, Kevin, that nobody ever talks about, but really affects your district. So I want to take a few minutes and talk about this. There is a disabled person exemption. Did you know that? And there is a returning veteran exemption, and there is a disabled veteran exemption. Okay, so the disabled person exemption, and I'm going to hold this up here. Disabled person exemption, you can't see that really well, but you have to have, you get a $2,000 reduction in your assessment, and you have to have been disabled during that tax year. You have to and the property has to be your principal place of residence. What's disabled? Disabled in the state of Illinois is a class 2 disabled person, has an ID card from the Secretary of State. You have to prove that you're disabled through Social Security benefits. And that is a big exemption, especially for seniors. So I would, if I were you, I would, like your flashing screen on your website, when you get a chance, section on disabled. Now, disabled veteran. This goes to percentages. This goes to how disabled were you when you came home from one of these wars. So this runs into either the 30 to 49%, 50 to 69, or 70 or more. So for each one, you then get a reduction in the assessed evaluation on your home. The more disabled you are, the more reduction there will be in your bill. And you have to obviously be a resident of that house. And you have to have a certificate, not from the Illinois Department of Revenue, but from the U.S. Department of Veteran Affairs. They would know. What this is. So the last one that we have is returning veteran exemption. exemption. So on returning veteran exemption, you're going to get about $5,000 off. $5,000 off. So what you have to do is have been a member of the United States Army, Illinois National Guard, or Reserve Forces, and you have to have been returning. Yeah, they need to slow that down. Yeah, you have to be returning from active duty. My office isn't sure what they're doing, and they need to stop with the screen. What they're trying to do is show you exemptions and savings on here, and how you can go on this screen to exemptions and download it. Get the exemption form on the screen, and you can download the exemption form, and you can send us the exemption form. All of these things are downloadable online. They're downloadable online. We just set up a arrangement with Salesforce. So I've been out beating the bushes on these various interviews. So in one day, we got 4,500 refund applications. And what was good about that was that those refund applications that came in did not come in through the counter or through the mail. On my website, you just punch the button, fill out the information, it immediately gets to my office. So we are now, because of all this outreach via radio and television, and incidentally, Huey Garcia called to compliment me. I did an ad in Spanish talking about the 79 million in refunds on cookcountytreasurer.com and the 38 million in exemptions in Spanish. So you might want to look at that ad, and on your website where it says Spanish, or do a translate into Spanish for your Hispanics in your area, you might want to have them listen to that in Spanish, because for undocumented individuals, it's safer for them to come to my website and do all this on the website, because there's actually a fear of entering a county building. Not to say anybody wants to come in the county building right now. Trust me, we're lucky if we're getting a couple hundred.
And your website translates into all those languages that you have pamphlets for as well. Now, do you have any, the Spanish is very helpful. We definitely have a lot of Hindi, Gujarati, Arabic speakers in the district. We've got a lot of a large South Asian population.
Yeah, well, here, let me give you some Korean, and I did Korean news yesterday. You probably are working closely with them, right? Are you working closely with the Korean news outlets?
I have. I actually worked closely with them on the vote ordinance that we passed last year. So this November, there'll be actually 12 translated languages that you could get your ballot in for the upcoming general election.
Well, that's huge. Congratulations. You've got 23,000 Koreans that have downloaded off my site. So I would guess that in your area, with the 30,000 Hispanics, I would guess that I think there's probably Ukrainian, because I think there's a Ukrainian church there. And I think that in your area, you have a Serbian Orthodox church there, don't you?
That might just be outside my district.
Right on the expressway, though, isn't it there? But I think they live in your area and they go to the Serbian church. There's one Serbian church on the north side. Anyway, there's 13,000 Serbian downloads. So, you could look at your voter rolls and run suffixes and tell who's what nationality, and we'll get you all those brochures. Or if you go to a church, you can hand them out the way you hand them out. So that's kind of an explanation. And then I'm going to shift for a second, if you'll let me, to this dreaded discussion of the tax sale. Would you like me to talk about that for a little bit?
100%. Let's do it.
Okay, so the tax sale is kind of my pet peeve, because it is the place where the most vulnerable of people land. They are very vulnerable. So countywide, there are about 39,000 parcels on this list. In March, when COVID started, we had 58,000 on this list. So we're really happy that we're down by that much. But the reason that we're down by that much, and I think you heard my budget presentation, is because people who were at home were on the phone looking for these people who were on the tax sale list to get them off of it. by giving them their exemptions. So because there's not much traffic in the office, that's what we're doing. So we're happy we went from 58 down to 39,000. But of the 39,000, 17,000 are returned mail. So of your 384, some of them may be returned mail. So on this website again, there is a way to, on there, correct the mailing address. You don't have to come to my office. You don't have to go to a notary. You don't have to do anything except correct it on my site. And you will know once you download an address, you will know if the bill came back to you because there's a big banner on there that says, hey, your mail came back to me, change your address. So we're looking for these 17,000 and our numbers are getting better. But the tragic thing about this tax sale, Kevin, is that of the 39,000, 19,000 of them owe less than $1,000. They owe less than $1,000. So it becomes problematic because the people who owe less than $1,000, they are the same people who didn't get the exemptions. So this senior who owes me $1,000, if she or he didn't get their senior exemption for 4 years and they're homeowner, I owe them $4,000, they owe me $1,000. So we're out on a hunt. We're hunting. So now so about 20,000 people owe more than 1,000. Okay. And of those owing more than 1,000, 7,800 of those have returned mail. So that you can't say these are people who just, aren't educated, whatever. I mean, these are pretty big bills of returned mail. So we know what happens. We know that now it's really a problem. There's just a lot of refinancing done now. So one of the things that we're going to try and get past, and we're going to solicit you to do this, is we're going to make those closings advise us immediately of the address change. Right now, it goes to a green sheet, it goes to the Department of Revenue, it comes back to the assessor. You know what? Let's tell everybody right now what the new address is. Because if you think about it, the county keeps mailing out 20,000 pieces of mail. They keep mailing out 20,000 cert. I mean, this is like a waste of money of returned mail in the property tax offices. And until we can do what I'm trying to do, which is here, this. Downloadable forms are all your exemption forms, so pay online for free. We are working to get everybody to do everything electronically. So I now have 90,000 homeowners who signed up for electronic billing. They will never get anything in the mail from me again. They have signed up to get it via email. It's really simple. It's got a scan line on it. It's downloadable, and you can take it to Chase. You can mail it in. You can come to my office with it. Please don't come to my office with it, right? Or you can pay online with it. But the scan line is identical to like a United Airlines boarding pass. So that's what you do with that. So this tax sale, we know that in this whole tax sale, there's about 457 seniors that have missed their exemptions and about 393 who are missing their senior freezes. About 393 who are missing their senior freezes. So as I said, we're looking for them. We're constantly looking for them. That's people on the tax sale list. Your list is the 738 who aren't on the tax sale list. Difference. I've got one list of people on the tax sale list who aren't getting exemption, and then there are people as of August 3rd. And this is the new list because it's the August bill that has the exemptions on it. So, what else do I want to talk about? I think we're pretty good. We could
so far.
we could talk a little bit more about a tax bill. People want to know, there's an early question. And Nyla, you asked me earlier about the assessments. So you're obviously have a great concern about your bill. So one of the things that we try and do on the bill is, on the bill, we show each of the areas in your district where and what they're paying. So on any area at all, there is a bill. Here's a copy of a bill. Okay, so this is a person who we picked. This bill happens to be in Harvey, but it could be your area. On the left-hand side of the bill, Naya, there is a list of every government in Cook County that you pay to. So if you look at that and you look at that closely, one of the things that you're going to see is the amount of unfunded liability, the amount of unfunded pension liability. So let's take an example here. The county of Cook right now has a pension shortage of 14 billion, and their pension and health care amounts that we promised the districts is 25 billion. So right now the pension fund's 41% funded. Actually, that's pretty good compared to most of the pension funds out there, and they had a great return this year. If you were living, Naya, in the city of Chicago, you would be in like really kind of deep trouble because the city owes 86 billion. And this bill would tell you that the city owes 86 billion. That's a lot of money, okay, to owe. So you kind of say, wow, should I be buying a home in that area if that government owes 86 billion? Because when I buy the house, I'm also buying up that liability. We know that in the city of Chicago, for example, right now, and this is if you go to cookcountytreasurer.com and you want an intimate understanding of your bill, you keep scrolling down, you're going to see this information about the indebtedness of each of the governments in your area. But what it also does is it gives you a study that we conducted on employees versus retirees. So employees versus retirees. So I'm going to give you some stats if people want to know why their taxes go up. So the village of Mount Prospect has 319 people working, but 2,838 are on pension. That's kind of astounding, right, Kevin?
I live in Prospect.
Okay, so let's try Arlington Heights. Arlington Heights Park District. You have 103 people currently working, but 467 on pension. So you begin to see, okay, is Morton Grove in your area?
Not Morton Grove. If you keep going, like Schaumburg, how about? Or Hoffman Estates, Elgin.
Okay, I don't have it in front of me alphabetically, but I can give you Arlington Heights, the village of Arlington Heights, just the village itself. So there's 427 people working and 644 on pension. So you begin to see this crush that's occurring on people, and the crush is if you're getting steps and colas, which the union and the employees are entitled to, how is it these governments stay funded? How is it that they stay funded? And it becomes problematic. It's very problematic now because we're living in a time where all of the sales tax, all of the hotel tax, it's like gone. It's gone. I mean, you could put a bullet through Michigan Avenue. I mean, there's no water towers open 11 to 7. There's nobody in the building. Even between 11 and 7 is like a ghost town. So no one is physically buying. If anybody's walking around, you don't even see them holding a bag of anything because it's just how it is. There is a way, I'm going to switch a second. There is a way to, you have lots of snowbirds in your area. So the snowbirds prepay, and they prepay even though the federal government reduced the exemptions to 10,000, the amount that you can deduct to 10,000. They pay before December 1st for March to get the deduction the previous year. So we know, and you're going to get your March bill early because we know how much it is. It is exactly 55% of today's bill. So there are a lot of people who come in and pay early November for what they owe in March. Because, as I said earlier, people just want to pay it. They want to get it out of their life. And the more we are involved in this, the more we're realizing the thing that matters most to anybody at all in the county is not their mother, their wife, their aunt, their aunt. They don't care. My house. Because in this period where health and finances are an issue, what they want to do is solidify the sanctity of their home. Because quite frankly, I mean, everybody's kind of still sitting at home, waiting to see if they get to take their mask off or not. So that's kind of where we are.
You might be stuck with masks for a little bit longer now, unfortunately. Yeah. But and that's so true. And you know, I'd be remiss if I didn't add in right now. We voted it out of committee today. We'll be voting on this at our board meeting tomorrow. But I believe the figure is $46 million that we are taking out of the CARES Act funding for the county to help any mortgagees and renters in need throughout Cook County. And so as soon as that passes, we're going to get that information out to our district so individuals could apply and get some extra support, especially if things are really tight right now.
Really, that's great. So I don't know, I'm open for questions. I've sort of finished with as much as I can give you on a presentation at the present time. I mean, it's a whole lot of information to absorb, so.
No, it's a lot, and hopefully we'll have you back too. And just a reminder to everyone who's watching live, you could send us questions. We'll make sure you get answers. Those of you watching the recording, we'll make sure to get your questions answered as well. No, I greatly appreciate it. If you have not been to the Treasurer's website, it's incredibly easy to use. It's very helpful. And I would be surprised if you don't find something applicable to you. And hopefully we'll continue to get, we use your information all the time to get, back when we had in-person meetings about exemptions. We had a veteran cry learning about the exemptions that were offered. And we'll be able to save that.
So let me just add one last final thing here. Our phone is 443-5100, 312-443-5100. So as I said, prompt Spanish, prompt Polish. If you can't get to a computer, or you've got questions, or you're whatever, if you call us, if you are fully disabled, we just sent a car out. We sent a car out to 2 people that are in Harvey that we dealt with yesterday, and we sent out 2 people from the WBON talk show on Monday. We'll come to your house. We will literally come to your house and help you fill out these forms. So call 312-443-5100. And we will help you with this. I want to thank you. You're adorable. You're also so good looking. It's so good looking. So when you get that good looking award on the county,
you are too flattering.
You're like, kill them. They're like, oh. I don't want to say. You kill it. So thank you so much.
I appreciate you. Thank you so very much, Treasurer. I appreciate you. And I hope you stay safe and healthy, and we'll be talking again soon.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone.